Welcome to Stream Fiends. I'm Kate Agustin.
And I'm Nat Towsen.
And today we're talking about Mystery Science Theater 3000. Nat, what the fuck is going on with this show?
Well...
Oh, hey, we've got one!
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Moonbase 13. We need your help.
It is essentially a show where a handful of comedians talk during a really bad, usually B sci-fi movie.
I've never watched this show before.
Okay.
I went into this completely blind, and I felt that the whole time. I never felt like I caught up. Can you explain a little bit of the history?
It feel like a big inside joke most of the time. So I'm not the biggest Mystery Science Theater fan, but I can tell you that it was a show that started on a local channel in Minneapolis in 1988, and it's got a huge cult following before it was getting reruns. People were distributing and circulating tapes. And early on, in early episodes, they used to put the phrase, "keep circulating the tapes" at the end, because they realized that that was how they'd actually gotten popular.
Oh, wow, that's kind of cool.
And it got so popular it got picked up by the Comedy Channel, which later became Comedy Central.
Felicia Day is on it, Patton Oswalt.
And it's very clear that Patton Oswalt was a fan of the original Mystery Science Theater and is thrilled to be in every shot.
So excited,
You can tell that about most people who are on camera in this show. They're just going, holy shit, I'm on an episode of Mystery Science Theater.
Parts of the show are so cute and endearing that I just can't help but enjoy that it's a thing that people like.
And normally such fan-focused stuff really bothers me. I found it more endearing in this case than I mostly do.
But the fans were a big part of getting the show back on the air, correct?
Absolutely. This show was actually the result of a Kickstarter campaign from a couple years ago. Joel Hodgson started a Kickstarter, and he has this video where he's just talking to the camera and saying, hey folks, we want to bring back MST3K.
And through the power of crowdfunding.
And he set a goal to raise $2 million to create a pilot episode, but he had all these stretch goals for, for this many we could do 3 episodes, for this much we could do 6 episodes. He ended up raising $5,700,000 plus dollars, which was enough to make 12 episodes. And so this entire show would not exist if it weren't for Mystery Science Theater fans. And it's worth noting that when he launched the Kickstarter campaign, the show had been off the air for 16 years.
That's kind of incredible.
Yeah, and it still raised almost $6 million.
This show had way more musical numbers than I anticipated.
Right?
Is that new?
It's not entirely new. It seems a little bit more focused on that this time. I will say, as soon as they were like, well, why don't you rap about it, I started cringing so hard.
Same.
Explain. Preferably through rap.
Oh, all right, if you insist.
But now I can't get that song out of my head.
It's very catchy.
It was actually pretty good.
That was the one part that I was like, oh, this show is endearing. I like it in spite of myself.
One problem with this show is that it is so unabashedly the show that it used to be that it kind of feels like you're watching someone else's inside joke at this point.
It does, very much. The whole time I was watching it, I just got that vibe of when you're forced to watch other people play video games.
One thing I think about this version of the show, and it's kind of how I felt always about Mystery Science Theater, the live action, the segments on the bridge are actually more fun. They feel like sketches, they're more lively. And then some of the jokes during the movies are really funny, but usually around the 50-minute hour mark, I'm just like, this is a bad movie.
Yeah.
I could be watching a real movie. And yes, sometimes they're really funny, but that part always has kind of dragged on for me. And I know I'm gonna get murdered by, I'm gonna lose all my nerd cred for saying that I didn't think Mystery Science Theater was always that funny. But I still think it kind of drags on.
It does drag on. Part of it also for me was that it didn't have very much cohesion between the people who were making the jokes. It felt very competitive, like who is going to say the funniest thing.
Yeah, there's very few references that take you past 1999.
Yeah, there's a lot of Frank Sinatra references, multiple Beatles references.
Yeah, which makes me feel like this is a Gen Xer targeted show. Like this is for the fans who were fans of the show initially. They're not necessarily trying to reach out to new viewers.
Yeah.
You want to talk about dating the humor. In the first episode, they reference bare naked ladies and they might be giants. And I think that's the exact distillation of the culture that this came out of.
Yeah, that's pretty succinct.
I might watch a little bit more of it. Really endears me. It takes me back to a time when the sort of nerdy sense of humor was a little bit different, a little bit less mainstream, a little bit quirkier, just unironically corny. I have the same complaints about it that I had about the original Mystery Science Theater, but I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, I guess I'm glad it exists. It's nice to know that things are out there like this still.
This has been Stream Fiends. I'm Nat Towsen.
I'm Kate Agustin.
Thanks so much for watching, and join us next week when we'll be discussing the Netflix original Girl Boss. See you then.
Bye.